get the
Hey!
the morning hype up.
The morning, the afternoon,
noon-
Fonzie.
the noon hype
what,
up.
what time do you wake up today? Come on.
Woke up early. Woke up at I don't know. Early is subjective, you know.
Early is subjective. I know. My early is like 5 with 2 kids. You're
Nah,
early.
I woke up at 7.
That's early. That's
I
good.
know.
To you,
It's not terrible.
to Fonzie standards, that's good to go. All right, I think I'm good to go. Fonzie, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's make this happen.
I was born ready.
Before you're ready. Okay, sounds good. Traffic was not on our side today, guys. Story for a different day. All right, here we go.
We've got
Hey, I'm Luis.
And this is Luis.
And welcome to the Content is Profit podcast.
In here, you're going to get the insights, accountability, and drive to create consistently and increase revenue.
You'll hear from top entrepreneurs, creators, and anything and everything you need to know about content. All this while having a good time.
The goal of this podcast is simple: to entertain, educate, and turn your content into profit.
Let's go. I wanna say something before the topic today.
Okay, what do you want to say?
Contentsprofit.com is live. Episodes
Oh.
are dropping on our website every single day. There's gonna be like 4 new episodes. We're backtracking. I think we're up to episode 200 and something that have been updated. So, pat in the back.
Good job. Yeah, you've done all the work. So pat in the back for you, indeed.
Shout out to our web team. Nathan, thank you, brother. All right, what are we talking about today?
Guys, today we have an incredible guest, and we're going to be talking all about finding an extra 250K or 1 million in backend revenue.
Pocket change.
Woo.
Pocket change. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's pretty
That's
sweet.
pretty significant, honestly.
That's pretty significant.
Pretty significant. This can change people's lives.
Absolutely.
Maybe people that are stuck in the grind, in the hustle, and they yet don't have a predictable or sustainable business. I think today's conversation is for them.
Today is gonna be fire. All right. Anything else, Fonz?
You forgot what comes next.
What comes next?
Guys,
I know. Wait, this is
if
the
you-
old
if you-
cheat sheet. Come on. Wait, this is the old
If you
cheat
enjoyed
sheet.
today's episode, please don't forget to share it, follow it, like it,
Ah,
all
there
the
you go.
good positive things. Leave some reviews in there. Show some love.
There we go. I just wanted to know if you were like up to par, you're awake,
Yeah.
you're good to go. Okay, sounds good. So we're back with another guest. Today, you are in for a treat. We have a serial entrepreneur who has built multiple 7-figure businesses and earned a spot in the Inc. 5000.
Woo, that is right. He's currently helping coaches build predictable, scalable, and sustainable business.
So if that resonates with you, make sure to stay all the way to the end. He also is an amazing dad to 2 daughters, maybe future girlfriends for, Luca Mateo. I don't know. And national ranking karate champion.
Yeah, after you read that third one, you're
and I'm like,
"Eh."
oh, yeah, it's okay. We're not going to go there.
Guys, please welcome successful entrepreneur, the real Karate Kid, and awesome dad, Michael Chu. What's up, Michael? Appreciate it. I'm gonna have to look it up to see the vibe, feel the vibes.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for that compliment. I know
Yeah. I'm just gonna say Michael showed up and he was like all squared up, ready to tackle you. And after that comment,
yeah, I know. Michael, background, have a 3-year-old and like a 4-month-old. So, if you and me get along, maybe they get a chance. Who knows? No, but we're there you go. That's awesome. Plenty BC, I'm sure. But we're extremely honored to have you out here. One of the podcast friends, Sam, connected us, and we had a previous call, and it was like, oh man, we have to talk about this. I know that there's some focus on your side, but hidden revenue from $250,000 to $1 million, that businesses are just like living on the table and they don't know what it is. But before we dive into that, can you share a little bit of your background? We know that you built several 7-figure businesses. You bought businesses. You're like in this amazing world. So how did that start? We can do the 2-minute version.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah. Mm. That was so good. Yeah,
That was good.
that was a good. A lot of the show we've obviously diving into entrepreneurship and the mindset aspect of not only running the company but on the content production side of things. But I'm very curious, right? Like we grew up in a very similar environment where our mother was a college professor, right? Like there's like no entrepreneurs in our family, at least that we could like grab, or give them a phone call. How was that transition mentally, right? Like what was like that journey growth wise from making that decision? Maybe the job is not the route, right? The entrepreneurship, and then what are some of those first steps that you took on to start growing your own platform, your own company? Mm. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Fonzie, you feel familiar on this? Because here's the reason, Michael. Sorry to interrupt, but like Fonzie was like the natural athlete. Like he would like just like relax, and then he'll go play soccer, and he'll score like 7 goals. And I was like the fat brother that had to like work really hard for like try to keep up with this guy that was really good. And the sales journey on our side has not been easy for sure, like in any way. So I'm very curious to continue to go through that, to listen to that. Mm, yeah. Mm,
Mm. Mm.
wow. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, I love that story. That resonates a lot. We used to drive a lot for one of the jobs that we have, kind of coaching little kids on soccer, right?
300 miles a week.
Yeah, 300 miles a week,
We need a lot
and
of Pizza Hut money for that gas over there.
and it was a lot of podcasts and audiobooks, just kind of and that's what kind of like trigger that thought of, maybe we can do something for ourselves, right? Maybe we can build something. I'm pretty curious though. I mean, you've had a pretty successful career in karate, right? And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of disciplines that translate from there to what you're building right now. I did practice myself some martial arts, for a little bit, but I never stuck to it. I don't know if you're familiar with Tai Chi. Yeah, yeah, I practiced that thing for like a few months, and man, that thing was slow. It was so slow, and I would like close my eyes, and I was like, okay, go as slow as I can, and then I would open my eyes, and everybody was like still at the beginning. I was like, I'm out of here. This is too slow for me.
You try Mantis for a little bit.
Yeah,
you
I try
Mantis.
another, martial art in there. But the point is, a lot of those things,
he wants to fight you, Michael. That's what he wants to do. He was like,
I was
hey, let's do
preparing
it.
for today. Let's go in the cage.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sounds good. Yeah. Like interview plus fighting. That'll be pretty epic. I'll get my ass beat, but that's okay. I'll do it for the views, But the point is, like, I met a lot of people that had a lot of clarity, actually, that they practiced that, and they had a lot of discipline. And I was kind of always curious, how does that translate then into real life? And now more than ever, I'm interested in how does that translate into an entrepreneur's life.
Not a jail client for that. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh wow. Um, your first sale. That was your first sale
The
right
first
there.
sale.
That's awesome.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna call you sensei from now on. But Michael, you mentioned humility, and I'm curious because our dad always told us to be humble, right? Playing and all that stuff. But when I see the marketing side of things, I'm not saying don't be humble, but I feel like there's a line in there. There's sometimes I feel like you're repeating yourself to be humble. You might be censoring yourself, or you might be afraid of like, promoting yourself, putting yourself out there. And that is something that I personally experienced, right, with thinking about being humble, humility, whatever. So I'm curious, like, did some of these values eventually presented a challenge in your identity on who you wanted to become, right, or who you became right now?
Yeah.
Mhm. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. You sharing that definition, and it's funny because like I personally haven't never looked the real definition, right? I know that
Yeah.
was like always be humble on the thing, and I remember a very specific moment where when I was 15, I traveled to Italy to play soccer there for a year. I was recruited what one of the teams there, and it was a pretty big deal back home. Like that was our dream, right? And I remember coming back, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations! This is so amazing!" Like just praising, right? And I remember in that moment feeling divided, right? In one side wanted to really enjoy that and be like, "Heck yeah, I earned this!" Right? Like we worked really hard. I trained just like you 5 to 6 times, like sometimes multiple times a day. During the week, it was like going from one practice to weight training and then coming back home at 9 to do homework. Like it was just really challenging and be like, part of me was saying, hey, yes, like I deserve this and more, right? But the other side was the conflicting side of, no, we got to be humble, right? We got to be like, oh no, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, it's, almost by chance. Like, oh yeah, we're lucky. Like, thank God that this just happened. And I remember the decision that I made at the time on how I was approaching that was, oh yeah, thank God, like you just worked out. Instead of like leaning into the real feeling, it's like, yes, I earned this, right? So how does that translate in our journey, right? In the fast like last 5 years that we've been building BIZBROS and the media company and what we do is just that. So I last year I kind of reached a moment where like screw it and be like, we have to own this, right? And I think that has been part of the evolution of this. Each of us is in our own personal journey as well, and but that has been one of the
I'm,
main
I'm way ahead
distinctions.
of him.
Yeah,
Just saying.
yeah, definitely. But there's still right there's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But there's obviously some challenges, right? And if we bring that in the context of content, right? Because we got
Yeah.
to be in front of a camera, we have to be sharing these testimonials, sharing the wins that our people are getting. We got to share the results that our clients are getting, right? Like we got to be sharing all these good things, right? Because it's what, like you said, the value that we bring up to the world, right? It can be very conflicting, right? We
Yeah.
have this amazing person in real estate that we're helping at the moment, and the self talk it's funny, we've noticed it in some of the calls, and we record kind of, we call it top of funnel awareness content, right? We jump on calls and we do this, but immediately it's like the self-talk is very negative, and I'm like, okay, this is like one of the mental hurdles that we need to you know, go past and shattered. And that's why we love these type of conversations, because hopefully it's going to help somebody that is having that fear of getting in front of the camera, whether that's a CEO,
Yeah.
CMO, they're trying to delegate it to a team because they don't want to do it themselves. Like, we got to own those things, because the value that we bring to the world is so important. So thank you so much for bringing that reflection to the show. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've had some conversations in the past that there's a fine line between confidence and, you know, bragging, and it can easily be sensed, right? Like that energy can be sensed by, you know, whoever's on the other side of the conversation. And when it's confidence, you know, it gives confidence to the other person to make a decision, right? If you're selling, let's put on the context of selling. If you're confident, the other person is going to feel confidence on making a decision of going with you. But if it's bragging, right, again, thin line, but they're going to know, and they're going to be like, ooh, they are BSing me right here, right? And they just going to move on to the next thing.
This was so good. All right,
Yeah.
so you've built multiple seven-figure businesses that have sold a ton of money, and have added a ton of value to a bunch of
I think the
companies.
figure is like 100 millions in sales, something like that, or more than 100 millions in sales, right? I knew it. I was gonna say, don't be humble. You
Say it,
get.
just say it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So my question is, like, on our side, right? We build these fractional content teams, right? And it has been an interesting journey on how we got there, and how we've been able to develop internal systems and processes to be able to deliver, right, on our product and our service. I'm curious, like, when you made that transition, right? Like, when you started building those teams, what are some things that people should be looking forward, right? Because we do believe that every single company needs to be their own media company, right? They have to have like that internal team. How is that translating currently is like, they just bring a video editor, and then they figure out that we need scripts, and then we figure out that we need to like distill information for the clips and the short form content that's coming out and blowing up, right? So all these pieces, obviously the ecosystem is evolving very quickly, but at the end of the day, right, each company should have that internal team that happens. So, you know, where we sit in there is kind of like have in the middle, like if they're not quite full internal team, we're that fractional team that comes in, and we've done that transition to full time, bringing like a full time team for them. But I'm curious, like, obviously we've come out so on the content side with challenges. On the sales side, what's something that people should be looking forward, or keeping an eye on as they build their own internal teams? Yeah. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. Let's focus on the team side, right? Like, what are some like maybe frameworks, principles that we should be like sticking to, right? We love to talk about principles instead of like the tactics, right? Tactics as just little things that we can sprinkle here and there to boost things. So if we can focus on that, that would be amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. 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 Uh, 嗯哼，
Mm.
100%。
Mm.
That's so good. Okay, so your episode is full of like three parts frameworks, so it's gonna be amazing. So the team is gonna get some good info here. But we talked about mindset and the belief around sales, right? Like what are the principles, what's the culture around your team, right? And then clarity on that top of funnel, right? Like the
Mhm.
lead gen, the lead cultivation, and the lead conversion. And it's not very different, right, of building a content team, right? On the same side, I remember when we first built our own internal team, we were like, hey, you guys are jumping on this bus, here's where we're going, right? And it has evolved, and the right culture has been great because there's been some pivoting along the way. Now, on the sales side, that has been very fun too. Obviously, the show is a big driver for us, but also we've been that victim of like, this person do this, and then they do this framework, and then fit people into a group and the community and the thing and the podcast, and there's been a lot of conflict into and lack of clarity on that side internally too, which we're navigating, right? Like it's part of the game. So I really appreciate you bringing this up to you did mention, right? There's a threshold of people should be focusing on like just one strategy, right? What's that? Is that amount based on industry? Is that amount based on your own personal goals, right? Because I feel like we should give the people maybe a roadmap on like, okay, if there is a roadmap, right? Is it something that people just decide, companies just decide? Like what's your take on that? Mhm.
Yeah. Mm.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, boy.
Mm. Yeah. I'm curious. Like, I want to hear kind of like a breakdown of that strategy, if I'm being honest. Earlier you mentioned one of your clients, you said Bastian. I'm pretty sure I know who this guy does he live in Europe? I don't want to share like his full name, but like, does he live in Europe? Yep. Yeah, dude, he's hitting my DMs hardcore all the time, and I'm not gonna lie, like I love it. Like I've seen his stuff, I always answer, but he's there consistently, and I'm really surprised with his story. He has a really cool story, and I know he's had probably multiple coaches, multiple people that he has worked with, but I'm pretty surprised. Like I actually know somebody that works with him too that's had some good success. So, I'm curious because I know he goes hard on Facebook too. So, what can you break down the strategy for us? Yep. Mm. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah.
I
Mm.
forget that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Choose the opportunity, baby. Okay, so this is
We got we
really
got
good.
some rethinking to do over here.
Yeah, absolutely, always, right? Like, and this is why we love having these conversations, right? But
Yeah, absolutely.
so here I have maybe a comment and maybe a question for you. But here's the thing, right? Obviously, for context, right, we're talking on sales processes, right? Like the outreach for those people, like the setter, somebody that prepares for and puts the call on the calendar, right? And all this thing on the sales environment. Now, uh, do you guys on the content side, right? Like where how we started, the initial thought of how we started building our frameworks that we call the M2M was we need to be everywhere, right? That evolved into everywhere where our audience is, which is relative omnipresence, right? And that has been an interesting journey, right? Because with that thought in mind, we were able to build a machine that requires not too much time from us, but the production output allows us to be in multiple places at multiple times. Now, that we call that the safety net of content, right? So let's say yesterday, for example, right, we went into and we published on shorts, reels, and TikTok, same clip, right? Different versions. Shorts grabbed a lot of traction immediately. It translated into podcast downloads, which is exactly what we want, right? But we tested these different things. So capacity wise, right? We talk about this in the publishing pyramid. It doesn't require too much time. Obviously, if you have the resources on the team that can execute on that, right? If it's just you, it might be a little bit more challenging. It allows us to do this. Now, the sales outreach, right? That's why the podcast is like one of the funnels for us, right? Is the people that listen to us, higher quality, they spend more time, they come to us and they request that sales outreach. You mentioned that has to be like hyper focused. Now, what's your view on the content? Because what we found is like if you have this safety net of content that maybe actually you're distributing, right? The focus is just let's put it out there because there's going to be some people that are going to trickle in. The focus initially might not be there, but that's going to increase what we call art, right? Your authority, relevancy, and trust. And we've seen it in events. Last year in Funnel Hacking Live, we went out, and if you're familiar with the event, obviously they give like the $1 million prizes, right? We haven't gotten the $1 million in sales yet, but you know, we go out, and I'm going to the bathroom, and we run into these two people, and they're like, "Congrats, guys!" And we're like, awesome, thank you, but like, why? And they're like, are you guys receiving the, you know, the Two Comma Club? And we're like, no, but I see you guys everywhere, right? So the perception of that audience, right, of us being present everywhere, and that depends on many things, right? Whether that's the service or the product that you sell, like different things. But it was very curious in my mind. I'm like, the perception of people outside is normally way higher than what we consider inside. So I'm very curious on your side, on the content side. Have you guys thought about that aspect? How do you guys tackle it with your students or your companies that can help that sales process or that sales principle that you guys implement? Sure, sure, absolutely, bring
Challenge accepted.
it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm.
Love it. Yeah. uh no, 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 well, we'll hit your second point real quick. By the way, what you're saying, I agree 100%. So part of our job is explore content frameworks, right? Like, so we test a bunch of stuff, and I'm very curious on, obviously, the people that come in, obviously they have their own products established. When we started a company, there was no product established, right? So we had to, like, on that side, we had to find market fit, see what the process was for the service, right? And different things. And we have been like super open. So that's why this is so interesting initially for us, but also for people that are building things. A lot of people that listen to the show, keep in mind, are building things. They might not be coming in with like a product or a proven market, right? And they're testing these things. So with that in mind, that's why the question came up, right? Because those are very common questions. And how do we connect content with the sales process is so important. And I love that you're helping us navigate through that. And by the way, before you go into your second point, how can people connect with you if they want to be if they're interested in learning more on all these topics? Awesome. Cool. Also, commercial break done. All right, good. Second point.
Mhm. Wow.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Ah, come on.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Studio claps. Studio. The
Yeah.
audience going
Yeah.
crazy. Golden boulder moment. There you go. There you go. Yep. Yep. That's awesome. I loved it. Just gonna put this out there. I think what you're doing, what we do, is a match made in heaven. We just need to talk about offline about this. But no, it's awesome. Jokes aside, this is great. There's a ton of notes obviously over here. So
Yeah.
uh, I'm
One second, real quick. On
I've been
the,
enjoying it. That's why I'm speechless at the moment. My head is like going 1,000 miles per hour.
I'm just taking notes over here. But I love the way you put it on the how to and how and I was, kind of like thinking about it right now. The how to kind of talks to how you can do this by yourself, right? The how you are like your biggest testimonial. And usually a lot of people are trying to sell something that they already experienced, that they already changed, right? So you are your best case study. And by saying how I guess people can put themselves in your shoes and then imagine themselves being that successful and then thinking, okay, how do I do this? Let me go to the source, right? How can I shortcut the success by talking to the person that already done it? But when you put the content as how to, you're just telling people go do it yourself. I feel like, and that is such an important point because, like you said, most people just go for the how to, right? Type of deal. I'm gonna start implementing the how and then I'm gonna report back. I'm gonna let you know. I'm like, Michael, this is great. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
that's That's awesome. It's funny how you mentioned this. We just with one of the people that we help on the with the content teams, they just shifted from a weekly podcast to a daily podcast of literally sharing the how I and different things of inside of their business. And in the like the last 3 days, they're relaunching a book. Um, it's been really positive, right? So as you mentioned that, also that was one of the moments of clarity that I was like, huh, very interesting. I'm going back in our journey, right, with a 45 live. We had like 3 seasons of that. We brought some people on into the challenge. That was a lot of what we are doing there. So
Yeah.
lot of gold in this episode, Michael. I know that we have a few minutes.
I'm gonna write a post on how I became a master of Tai Chi.
Bro, you're too Venezuelan for to teach Tai Chi. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
still.
Too
Yeah,
seriously,
I
come
need
on.
like 40 more years to be able to
Too
go at
young.
that speed.
I know. Michael, couple last questions, right? Like, so for somebody that's building their own platform, whether that's on their sales side or on their content side, what's something that they can do today to move things forward? Could be content side, could be the sales side, right? Like on your side, like I do believe that both go hand in hand, right? Like in today's day and age. So what's something that they can do today to move things forward? Mhm. Awesome.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Let's go.
absolutely. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That is so good, and I mean that speaks to you knowing your audience too, right? Because I'm not a fan of marketing those quick wins either. I'm you know, but at that I'm gonna be honest. At the beginning of our journey, you're so desperate for those quick wins that that message resonates so much, and that's how we got into this world, right? The bro marketing. You know, I do respect a lot Ty Lopez as an entrepreneur, but we were one of those victims of here. I'm in my garage with my Lambo and my books, and I was like, I got books, but I don't have the Lambo. What's up, right? And we were victims of that at first. And honestly, lately, every time I just see those quick win ads, I'm just like, I get mad. I'm like, oh man, I had enough. I'm like, I'm ready for the sustainable, right? The predictable. Like I'm ready for that stability on building the business. So thank you for sharing. I think that is extremely important in there. And dude, it has been so good. I think we're gonna have to do a part two because I don't feel like we really dove into
You just
like
like scratch
the
the stuff.
LTV accelerator, you know, and like
No.
really finding those hidden pockets. I mean, we kind of talk about kickstarting the whole process,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're gonna have to dive in onto that one.
Yeah. So Michael, extending the invitation, we do have a community on Facebook. So if you want to come and do a training and be like deep dive, let's do it inside of the community. Open doors. Yeah. Let's.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, yeah, mm,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just after the first of every month, your sleep must have been like incredible. Be like, oh,
Sleeping like a
it's
baby,
living like a
it's like,
baby.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Michael, last question of the show. I know that we have to head out, but where will you be if you never started publishing?
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if you're gonna build a karate. Is it called a dojo? Is it a dojo or no? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask. I was pretty curious. I'll be like, hey, I'll sign up. I'll teach the Tai Chi classes.
But just fun fact, Michael, like Fonzie, we have a domain. It's contentdojo.com.
No, it's content sensei.
Content Sensei.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere in there. It's like you bought it like 3 years ago. And we're
Yeah,
like,
I'm keeping it because I know that thing is gonna go far one day. I was like, this is a good one. This is a good one right here.
uh, hey, yes.
Do
Hey,
it now.
do it now before tomorrow drops because they're
Yeah.
gonna flip the domain on you.
Yeah, we're like too late, Michael.
Oh man, awesome, man. Michael, anything else you want to add before we head out?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to change the headline of this one, but Michael, I think I might be in Austin in about 2 weeks, so I'm gonna hit you up when I get there. See if
next
we meet
next
up.
week, dude. Next week.
Oh, next week.
We're gonna be in
Seems
Dallas.
like it.
Yeah, go ahead. Ah, come on.
No,
He's
no,
just
no, no.
skipping you.
But next week is Dallas, and then the week above is when I will be going to
Oh,
Austin.
so you're just going.
I'm just
Okay,
gone.
sounds good.
I'm gone.
That's,
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, guys, for those listening, we're going to be at Podcast Movement next week. Starting on Wednesday, we speak on Thursday. So if you're there, hit us up. Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into the Contents Profit Podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is right. And if Michael here help you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.
All right.